Now, I know this is an incredibly odd topic. I know this app's reputation is horrendous among other websites and apps like 4chan and Reddit, but hear me out. Just like everything, this app is at a golden era that pretty much everyone within the app's user base also agrees with. A time before it was known for a murderer from the app killing a gay man because of his neo-Nazi beliefs, where it was edgy memes before edgy actions. 2014. And to be more accurate, it's technically 2013 to 2015 that people label the golden era label within those years. But for the sake of my personal experience, I'll say 2014 as it was my favorite year for the app. This is actually kind of a touchy topic for me because I experienced basically peak childhood on this app. As pathetic as that actually sounds, the only reason I have any kind of online presence today is because of this app and the hundreds of unforgettable moments that came from it, including the friends I made and the enemies too. Because in the end, a lot of it was just regular people behind edgy profiles, like a game if you will. 2014 iFunny. Gosh, where do I even start? Let's start back in late 2013, where at the time I was just a feature-hungry regular user, posting screen caps from Tumblr and sub for subbing to try and climb up the ranks alongside one of my best friends at the time from school. Collective, the endless maze of memes that all posts went to, were filled with many people who were looking for a good time on a messaging app known as Kick Messenger. That, alongside with a much less filtered and monitored posting system like there is today, there were a lot of penises. Lots of them. The app was starting to become an underground sexting app among people, which, once again, is hilarious, considering it's an app called iFunny. Fucking iFunny. Something people considered at the time a fucking 9gag knockoff app. A time where people still preferred Meme Droid over it. It was a little seed that the gardener never expected to grow, neglecting it to the point where the weeds, that is, the horny bastards using a meme app to get sexual pleasure from, began taking over. But there was a very big handful of people who didn't like the fact that their shitty, underground edgy meme app was being taken over by these teenage virgins. These were the very roots for the edgy community to come and still live on today within the app, the Kick Trolls. It was the same group of people who participated in what was called Dislike Night, the act of going around on Collective and featured and disliking everything. Now, I know you're thinking that has to be ineffective, but remember when I said that this is a very small app, and many people participated in this at the time. It actually affected what was going to be chosen to be featured at the time. Oh, and let me quickly tell you what featured is, just in case you don't know. Featured is the category on the app that was once hand-chosen from Collective and hot posts, something no longer in the app, and there would be 20 a day, memes which were considered worthy to be shown on a page for a long time. Being featured was heavily desired among users as it automatically gave you internet cool points on the app, and boosted account popularity. Anyways, to get back on track, these kick trolls would purposely lead these people on, only to plunge insults and plenty of mildly offensive jabs and nonsense, hoping to drive them away from the app, which actually kind of worked to some extent. Of course, with exceptional help from the new filters and more moderators to monitor exactly what was going on in their app. Because there was indeed some disgusting things to surface on this app, things that would not be mentioned on this channel. As a way to honor their work, as, you know, we've all grown up and a new era of edgy teenagers have taken our place. Little Gru, Little True, and Little Boo. Your usernames will always be in my heart, and I fucking despise it. But thanks for paving the way to a good teenage experience. I wish I had some documentation of you three existing. I probably just sound psychopathic to the people listening to this video. But that's okay. Let's continue on with my story. So, entering 2014, closing 2013 off, the app started becoming massive. It absolutely blew up in popularity, no one expected it. Just a random influx of users in 2013 going into 2014. You can see it in Google Trends, just totally random. And with this explosion in user base, we're talking at least 500,000 unique users, groups started to formulate. Don't get me wrong, groups existed back then, hence the little in the previous mentioned usernames. But, I mean, this was different, and most of these groups deserve to be talked about on their own. Let's start at the group everyone recalls from the app, even into today's era. Swaggers with attitudes, better known as SWA, their abbreviated term. As much as I hate saying this, SWA is incredibly important to the history of this app, regardless if you hate it or love them. They formed as one of the first well-known offensive groups that would even spark threads outside of the app talking about them ruining the app. They were the embodiment of the MLG era, mixed with an edge, only being described by the gif known as Shovel Dog, and if you know what that is, you know how edgy that is. They formed together under the leadership of a user known as Nika, which I'm not going to say the actual word. We're going to say Nika because there's Q's, and I don't want to come off the wrong way. And some old school users today might argue that it started even before his reign as the leader of the group. Though regardless if that's true or not, he brought the group into fame undoubtedly. Leinika also dated back to the whole Lay username era, though it wasn't really known well through the sea of kick trolls that had kicked in during the influx of new users. Leinika was something else, to say the least. I only had a few interactions with him before his disappearance. He was lukewarm about the group I took part in, which we'll get to in time. SWA was also known for their ban raids on accounts, which were performed by mass reporting and spamming an account before it was deleted automatically or by the hands of an admin, probably to reduce traffic or something along the lines of technicalities with a website. So in 2000s language, to an outsider, the members of this group would be referred to as AIDS. Now, jumping into what could easily be the second largest group on the app, it's called Fandoms United. Oh man, this is an interesting group. Abbreviated as FAUN in usernames, or FAUN, this was a way for users who had accounts dedicated to fandoms to band together despite any differences in the shows, music, or other thing that they might been interested in, and fight against the toxins in the air known as SWA and other spin-off groups tied to SWA. See, SWA and other groups around it hated that their edgy memes were being blended into posts with ponies, or characters from Homestuck, or crop furry porn, or supernatural screen cap unoriginal memes. It didn't have a place for an app called iFunny, an app that literally has funny in the name, if it didn't make them laugh. Somewhat hypocritical as their humor was people being beheaded or 9/11 memes. But I'm not here to dispute or argue against what people apparently find funny. Point is, that's what the group was there for, just to pawn together to try and defeat the enemy, SWA. And then there was the odd ones out, the in-between of the two things. The horse fuckers. Now, right off the bat, this doesn't sound like an iFunny group and more like a gang of men in their 40s looking to have sex with animals on 8chan zoo boards, posting area codes and exchanging Telegram usernames. I get it. What the fuck kind of name for a group is that? And actually, the name for this group doesn't stem from iFunny, but rather the 4chan/MLP board. See, the people on this board didn't like identifying with the growing plague that was known as bronies. Bronies, which were a huge meme for an extremely long time, were often in the same category as neckbeards, fedora-tipping obese men because, well, that's how they portrayed themselves in the media. This has been going on for years where the shameless just happen to be the ones to front page YTMND and Reddit's cringe subreddits. So, /MLP labeled themselves as horse fuckers, a name ironically used to deter being in the category as bronies, but also to still say, hey, I'm from 4chan, I'm fucking weird. Horse fuckery spread to iFunny when a very small handful of users on this board decided to spread the cancer to the app iFunny, which, as mentioned before, was growing immensely and was at the front page of the Android market, which might have been Google Play already, and the App Store on iPhones. The horse fuckers, to sum them up, they were bronies that were SWA. Bronies that were SWA. Yeah, that's the worst thing to ever come out of my mouth. I still recall the usernames, but the true question is, do I mention them? Oh, fuck it. If my memory is recalling correctly, it was Horseminge, Fluttershy, Penny, and Armorrude? Maybe? I know at least two of these names were from /MLP. Regardless, these fours are credited for making horsefuckery even a recognized group on iFunny, and soon enough, the migration of others from /MLP and bandwagoning from iFunny would start, paving the way for making it a group worth remembering. Oh, and I was a horsefucker. I was in that group. That's why I remember it so fondly. I was a prominent member, matter of fact, making it onto an official list created by Armorrude sometime in 2014 or 2015. The list was just copying SWA's official member list. It was to filter the real members from the bandwagons, the sole thing that made the group popular. This has not been archived if I recall correctly, but the others would back me up in the GroupMe chat, which is still running somehow. Keep it up too, fuckers. It's a good memory graveyard for me since Line wanted to be a bitch and delete all of my groups and messages. And then there's the rest of the groups that were branches off of the aforementioned groups. The Lacer, Pokefags, Bastardites, Under the Cross, Above the Cross. Oh, and GHIF was a thing. Just some car guys posting car appreciating pictures and yada yada. Cloppers, aka wannabe horsefuckers. Whatever. Looking through the minimal archives I have left of this era, it's actually kind of hard to pinpoint everything that was going on at the time. But damn, I'm gonna give it the best shot through my eyes. I stepped my foot into this group thing when I started noticing the MLP shit on iFunny. I didn't find it in the form of bronies posting a 20% cooler Rainbow Dash meme though. I found it in the sense of a gif of the head of Scootaloo on a fucking pressure reader or some shit. And it was labeled autism level, with the reader going off the charts. I remember the GIF so fucking vividly, though I no longer have it. Anyways, around the same time I stumbled upon a user going by Rainbow Doge, which actually might have been the person who posted that. I don't personally recall, but man, if you're still out there, you're literally the reason I was a horsefucker. I talked to him a tiny bit, along with another guy who didn't affiliate with the group name but hung around horsefuckers, Fack Bitches, which we'll learn in a second that Fack actually inspired my username, which led to confusion when referring to me and him. Actually, this is also funny because before this, I hadn't even given MLP a second thought. I never saw beyond a couple minutes of it until I decided to join horsefuckery. And here's where it gets even better. I originally hopped into the group essentially completely uninvited and under a new alias because I wanted to make new friends online since my previous endeavors on COD Search and Destroy and Animal Crossing were over. No other reason I want to identify with the group aside from that. It's high school all over again, right? And that's what made it so much better. We were all high school aged. I was 14 when this happened, and the group age mostly ranged from 12 to 16. The puzzle pieces are coming together again, right? It's comparable to wanting to fit in at high school, except now you're trying to fit in somewhere on this forbidden internet land. So beyond that philosophical nonsense, in an ironic sense, despite later becoming one of the most notable horsefuckers and being official, I was a bandwagoner. But I bandwagoned early enough to where it almost didn't matter that I bandwagoned, as I helped the group to grow and be recognized by the big bad SWA. And this shit is hilarious because my brain keeps wanting to compare it to the nerdy kid version of the LA street gangs, the Bloods and the Crips, because that's how we were genuinely organized. SWA for the most part didn't like us, and shit, since they didn't like us, we didn't like most of them, yet some of SWA and horsefuckery would band together constantly to wreak havoc upon the app. And on top of that, there were often feuds within both groups and themselves. And to compare again, some Crips fight Crips and make truces with Blood sets in order to fight off that Crip group. The ties between something so little and an epidemic crisis are honestly so fucking stunning. And here started the biggest waves I had ever experienced in my life. I never felt so wanted and popular in my life. I also never had felt so depressed in my life at some points in this fucking history, but I was also a teenager, so teenagers typically just come with the depression package. But I would say this whole horsefucker thing actually contributed to it a lot. But it also contributed a ton of fucking happiness, you know? And don't get me wrong, I had plenty of friends beyond the phone screen I glued myself to so often. I definitely wasn't an outcast in school or some eat lunch alone in the restroom kind of guy. But I definitely was never popular, at least not in the way I intended, I realized later on in high school. Everyone knew who Seabass was, but not everyone was friends with Seabass. Some despised Seabass and his obnoxious friends. But on iFunny, it's almost like I made a good first impression and I was welcomed with open arms, like I had already established myself long ago. Undergoing the alias change from magical fat American to fuck horses, I began texting too many people in this group almost immediately, getting into kick group chats, having my phone absolutely blown up with notifications, and my little shitty HTC Evo 3D's battery life was not having it, so my phone would typically end up dying in school in just a couple hours. So when I'd get home and charge it up to turn it on, all those kick vibrations would kick in again with 30 to 40 individual people interested in texting me, excluding group chats. Those were the days, man. For the first time in, well, shit, ever, I felt super popular, wanted by everyone. It was fucking crazy. And yeah, this is ultra virgin to admit, I get it, but fuck, I can't hold back the excitement I felt at the time. Like 6 years later, I'm still friends with some of these people. Like, that's how much of an impact this had on my life. And meanwhile, just beyond the kick texting, my iFunny profile was growing at a rapid pace. I was constantly being put on my nigga lists, giving me even more exposure, even to the point where I had luxury to be invited to the main horsefucker group chat. Shit that had me feeling like the CEO of this little section on the internet I now held so dearly to me. From kick trolling with the highest of names early on like Ponzi, Gasai, and Thermic, to helping all of the iFunny community, even Fawn, band together the band raid I Bite Your Face. The amount of shit we did that has absolutely no value to any of our lives except living on in our memories is immense and amazing. The ride never ends. It was a quote we constantly mentioned. Even when things started to go downhill, the quality of groups, the reduction of users, the whole internet turning to having an edgy side, we stayed positive. Our group was to stay strong, despite noticing that even SWA's supposed leader, Leinika, had resigned from his top position and disappeared. Truth be told, we were all growing up. It was hard to accept, really. But we were getting more mature and leaving a lot of this dumb shit behind, though never leaving a piece of it gone, always within us to maintain what we represent and our personality halls gained from this experience, per se. This small little app that had no significance ever on the world led me to discovering some of myself, who I am, what I will be in the future, and so on and so forth. This fucking 9gag ripoff, this below lowest tier meme app, led me to make some of the best friends I've ever had, have one of the most fun online experiences I've ever had, and remember it as a huge highlight of my teenage years. And once again, this topic's touchy, because I'll never forget it. And I miss it sometimes, but it's been a long 6 years. I'm almost 20 now. I was fucking barely 14 when all of this went down. It's crazy to think how fast it came and went, yet it's still such a big part of my life. Man, I'm a fag. But I'll never forget the reign of photoshopped obey hats on characters. If you remember all my Tord profile pictures, fuck. If you remember when I used fucking FSJAL as my profile picture, you're nothing short of a basement dwelling OG. So Thermic, the Devil, Arma, Flutterfucker, Ponytits, Corgi, Fact, Sour, Jesus, Baltofag, Fluffy, Stupid, Fizzle, Patch, Sirius, Zarek, Penny, Ponzi, Zelda Master, Hate Commons, Murdershy, Simbuline, Shog, Fuckershy, Walrus, Dildroid, Zula, Tavi, Parker, Fluttershy, Horsecock. God, the list goes on and fucking on. Thank you guys. I know I forgot a lot more too, but God, you guys shaped my life. For better or for worse, who fucking cares? I'll never forget you guys. And fuck horses, signing off one last time, once again with an alias change to last forever. Seabass. We're in the aftermath now, and I'm so glad I got to experience this.